Hey there, it's Jennifer McGuire. If you've ever seen any of my videos before, you know that I absolutely love the Tim Holtz Ranger Ink Distress Markers. I think it's a great product. I'm really excited because he's come out with 12 new colors, and they're the seasonal colors, which happen to be a little bit brighter. So I thought I'd go ahead and make some cards and show you these colors all at the same time. Now there are 12 new colors, and if you add these to the original, there are now 49 different colors of distress markers. Now, I know people have questions about how they all compare, so I did a super quick comparison chart, and I'll have that on my blog, and I'll have a link in the video description below. So let's go ahead and dive into these cards, and you can get a peek at these new bright colors. So there are several here. I'm going to use several of the new markers on my card today. This is the Picked Raspberry. It's a great pink. Now each of the distress markers has a brush tip and also a fine tip, so you can use them for different kinds of projects. Now for this, I wanted to get thin stripes of different color in a watercolor look, so I'm scribbling them right onto some watercolor paper. This is the Festive Berries, this one is the Ripe Persimmon, and then we have the Squeezed Lemonade, and then the green is the Mowed Lawn, and the teal one is my absolute favorite. It's the Peacock Feathers. I think it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous color. And then the blue is Salty Ocean, which is a great middle line blue color. And then finally, I think the last one I'm going to use here is the Shaded Lilac, which is a nice soft purple. Now what's awesome about these markers is that when you add water to them, they react with the water and kind of move, just like the Distress ink pads do. So you can use them as if they're watercolor pencils or pens or whatever. So you can get the look of watercolor with these. You can also color directly onto a stamp, mist it, and then stamp with them. There's a lot you can do with them. Now I wanted to show you there were a few colors I didn't use on the project. Ice Spruce, Evergreen Bow, and this is the Gathered Twigs, and then also the last one is Seedless Preserves. I think those four are really great colors. They just didn't go with my rainbow, but that would be a great combo there as is too. So I went ahead and scribbled all the different colors along this watercolor paper, and now I'm going to add quite a bit of water to this. So I'm going to mist some water on my craft sheet here, and I'm using my water brush tool. I don't like to use the water in it. I'd rather pick it up with my tip. It just is easier for me. And I'm just going to go zigzag back and forth over the color we did, and you'll see that it blends so easy, and you can get a great watercolor background with these. So there are many techniques using distress markers. I've done many videos on them. I know Christina Werner has and Tim Holtz has. So definitely do a search on different techniques you can do with the distress markers. But I love doing these wash of color background. You can see these new colors are super bright. So if you're like me and you like bright colors, these are definitely ones that you'll have to get. So anyways, I'm just going to go back and forth over this, and you'll see the blending happens really easy. Now after you've done this, if you want to make it more intense, you can let this dry and then go back and add some more marker on top and then water again. Now I'm using watercolor paper because we're using quite a bit of water here, so you want to make sure that you have a paper that can handle that much water. And I even like to give a fine mist at the end when I'm done, just so I can get those little spots. You see those little droplets of water? I like that look also. Now after I let this dry or heat set it with the heat gun, I decided I wanted to cut it into strips so I could get many cards out of this piece. So here's the first card I'm going to do. I'm just putting a few strips across, and I'm going to die cut a greeting out of it. To do little letter die cuts like this, I take a piece of sticky tape. You can use a post-it note for this if you want to. And I arrange all of my letters on here. These are dies from Memory Box. And I just start with the word. Remember, you got to work mirror image. You've got to work backwards here. So I'm starting with the T on the right, and I'll start placing my letters. And I want to line them up on here so that they're just perfect for when we go to die cut. This is so much easier than doing each letter individually, and you can do a bunch of die cutting at once. So I'm going to cut the end here so I know exactly where the bottom of the letters are, so I can line this up on my strip and get it kind of centered along the strip. So I'm going to take this, and since it's sticky, this is really easy. I can just stick it right where I want it to be. And I'm going to take this and run this through my die cut machine. You can use any die cut machine for this. I love the Vagabond. It just cuts like butter. So I'm going to run this through my Vagabond, and there I have the letters cut right through. Now the great thing about this is I'm going to have two cards out of this one little maneuver here. I'm going to save the letters for another card. So you can see how nicely it cuts right through the watercolor paper. So now I'm going to use some foam dots to add to the back of this, just so that there's a little bit of dimension. I love having those die cut letters kind of raised off the card. It gives a nice shadow behind it. So I'm going to add that to the card along with a few strips. All of these are added with some foam dots. I use some My Favorite Things craft cardstock for this. It's a nice middle of the road craft color that's great to kind of balance out these super bright colors that I'm using. Now I'm cutting a foam dot into a smaller piece so that I can put the little A in the center there. And there you have the first use of that one piece. I love to create one technique piece that was really quick to put together and then create several cards from it. And you can see how nice those bright distress markers blended together. Now I couldn't let those little letters go to waste since the colors are so nice, so I'm going to go ahead and make another quick card. I'm using my little Xyron here. It kind of makes any kind of die cut into a sticker. So I'm going to drop my little letters in here one at a time, and you pull the piece out the left. This is super easy to do. You just feed each one in. And then when you're all done putting the letters through, you just tear it out. And now this is going to put adhesive on the back of each of the letters. This is just quicker to me than putting tiny dots of adhesive behind each. Then you just want to rub it really well and make sure all the adhesive goes on to the letters. And I find it, instead of doing the burnishing, which I just did, I just rub it with my fingers and it works just fine. And there we have our little die cuts, now our little stickers. So I'm using my T-ruler here so I can start placing these in a straight line. If I don't put a T-ruler down or some kind of guide, my little letters will start going downhill because I just can't visualize it. So I'm just going to stick all these into place using the T-ruler edge as a little stopper that I can push my letters up against. Then I discovered that, because I didn't plan, that my word thanks wasn't centered on the note card. So I totally cheat and trim the card a little narrow, and nobody will ever know the difference. Now I'm using my Wink of Stellar glitter marker. I'm addicted to this little guy right now. It's a great way to add some super subtle shine to your letters. Another thing you could do is mist the Perfect Pearl Mist on top of your watercolor and get the same effect. So there we have a super fast card. Gosh, I know I always need thank you cards on hand. Now I have enough to make one more card, and I'm using a greeting from a Mama Elephant stamp set that I just thought worked well with these bright colors. It says, let's see, it says it's a good day. What's it say? A good day to be happy. There's a lot of great greetings on this Mama Elephant stamp set that are good for bright colored cards. So I've put one of my strips down with foam dots on the bottom of one of these craft note cards that I've created. I'm going to stamp the greeting with Versamark ink, which is just a clear sticky ink, and then I'll put white embossing powder on top of it and heat set it. Now you'll notice I get a fingerprint of Versamark there on my card, but never fear, I'm going to be covering that, so I'm not too worried about it. So after I heat set this, I'll go ahead and take my next piece and add it with foam dots above it. Now this card design is a great way to use leftover pieces from those technique-y pieces that you create. And I added some white thin cardstock strips just to kind of give it a defined look. Now remember, if you want to see how all the colors compare, you can head over to my blog to see a quick comparison chart. And you also head over there if you have any other questions, and I'll link to some other projects using the distress markers. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on another video.